That's Marco D'Amico. No problem with light bulbs or batteries for my boy Marco D'Amico.
No, I'm literally a light bulb.
You see, perfect. The Montreal Canadiens defense. Talking about David Savard and Arbor Jackeye, Caden Gooley back. Made his return Friday in rally after missing 21 games with that busted up quadricep, and great to see him back, and great job by the medical staff and the player that they were able to recover from that. What are the Canadiens, when you look at the defensive brigade of the Montreal Canadiens, and we'll talk about both sides of the organization, the pro side and the AHL side, also the pro side.
Yeah.
Like, what do you see as it relates to the wants and needs for the future around the Montreal Canadiens on the back end? Let's start there. The wants and needs of the Montreal Canadiens defensive brigade. Do they have most of it done so far?
I think they have some of their key pieces in place. I think Alex Carrier is a sure bet as a top 4 right shot defenseman. That's good. Lane Hutson is a surefire number 1 defenseman at this point.
Are we sure? We're sure about Lane? Yeah, we're good. I'm good. By the way,
I'm just gonna say, I think we're good at this point, considering the Canadiens' defensive brigade and how much they use him. I think we're good at this point.
Let me before you finish your thought, let me ask you, because I saw some of the chatter over the weekend. Lane, it was our pals Arpin Basu and Marc-Antoine Godin. They're a fantastic show on YouTube. They're ready. Can I get a quick answer? Lane Hutson's contract, like 80 million, 90 million?
Over 8 years?
Yeah. Where's your level of comfort today?
I mean, first of all, how do I put it this way? Kent Hughes and signing contracts never cease to surprise me.
Agreed.
Jake Evans was rumored to be asking $4 million. I think the sweet spot was at 3.3, 3.5, and Kent Hughes got him to sign for 2.9.
Okay.
Getting Cole Caulfield in comparison to other contracts at the time being signed for under $8 million was really something.
Agreed.
Slavkovsky potentially to me was the only one, but you're dealing with a first overall pick. The draft, what do you got? The gravitas, the draft pedigree, alone creates that situation where he was in that same vicinity. But Caden Gooley for 6 years at 5.5. I mean, larceny considering what he does for the team as of already. The deal hasn't even kicked in yet, and look how important he is to the team. So I think Caden Gooley's deal is more than fine as long as he stays healthy. So I don't think that you're necessarily going to have to worry about AAV when it comes to this deal. That being said, does Lane Hutson deserve $10 million over 8 years?
Yeah.
I mean, did Adam Fox deserve 9.5 over 8 when he signed his deal, 5 years ago?
Wow.
So, if you can get Lane Hutson at 10, you're basic. Lane Hutson and Adam Fox are the two most, to me, they're very, very comparable defensemen. Same, he doesn't have the skating of Quinn Hughes, does Lane Hutson. I see him very much more as a lateral, excellent skater with great hands. That's more of an Adam Fox. Adam Fox signed for $9.5 million, I believe. It was right after COVID, so 3 years ago.
Okay.
If the Canadiens can get him around the same salary, you're dealing with the same kind of player, right? We may have conversations in the next couple of years, maybe 2, 3 years, 4 years down the line, where Lane Hutson is going to be getting into Norris conversations.
Agreed. I see it.
I see. What will Lane Hutson look like in terms of a point producer? What will this entire team look like in terms of a point producer when Ivan Demidov is in his prime?
He's going to drag him. He is going to drag him.
This is the reason I say I believe that Nick Suzuki has 90 points in his future, because
right.
If he's not the best player on the team, then that bodes very well. So again, these conversations, but if you can get Lane Hutson for anything under 10 mil over 8 years,
run.
Sign it. Because the cap is going to increase to such a degree that if Jacob Chychrun can get 9 over 8, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, fantastic defenseman. Love watching him when he's in town. Just all around great guy, but he just does not have the resume to warrant that kind of money, and that just reset the bar. And again, unrestricted free agent. well, he was a restricted free agent, but 7 of those 8 years are unrestricted free agent years. Whereas if Lane Hutson were to sign now this summer, he would be 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So 4 of those years at minimum would be restricted free agent years. So that would drive down the value a little bit, even though we all agree that he's worth more right now to the Canadiens than Jacob Chychrun is to the Washington Capitals. So anything under 10, I think at this point. A lot of people are hoping for 8 times 8. And a lot of people were hoping that they wouldn't break the existing salary structure. But I think when you look at the games that we've seen during this stretch, I think it's very safe to say that Lane Hutson is the Canadiens' best player.
He is.
Or at least the guy that tracks to be the best player.
Nick Suzuki has been unbelievable, but everyone's allowed to have a bad game or two. And while, the captain's play has dipped a little bit, 48's game, that's what I'm saying. Like, this guy's a leader. This guy's going to drag this team into the fight. So, okay, we both agree. I think people listening, I would be shocked. I'd be shocked if we're getting criticized right now. You guys are you bunch of clown fanboys giving Lane Hutson. I'm like, I don't think there's anybody in the chat saying that right now.
If they did, I'd be really pissed. I just put away my clown suit.
That's Marco D'Amico. So let's finish our thoughts here on the wants and needs of the defensive brigade. With what they have now, Reinbacher, when he does play, is arguably the best defenseman on the ice, getting more confident, playing aggressive, scoring goals with big shots from the point. Talk to me about the marriage of the defensemen in Laval versus the ones at the pro level, and how well or how poorly, depending on your answer here, is the Canadiens' defensive structure for you?
The Canadiens need to figure out what they want to do with Arber Xhekaj and Jaden Struble, my honest opinion. Ultimately, there's just too many cooks on the left side. You could have 4. But Martin St. Louis is going to have to get comfortable with one of them playing regular shifts on a regular basis. And again, like, that's a conversation they have to have. There's some development that maybe needs to be talked about, some different ways to attack the game. I thought for the most part, Arber Xhekaj showed significant improvement, in my opinion, in terms of his game, his restraint, his physicality. I thought that, we were seeing a lot of that doing pretty well. It's unfortunate. I feel like his partner is kind of the one holding him back right now, but he's had an incredible career, and, I respect the time and the effort that he puts in. So we'll leave that at that. But then I think where the biggest question to be had is I think the Canadiens' best trade chip to go and get a number 2 center is actually Mike Matheson. And I feel like if you're dealing from a position of strength, you are banking on Lane Hutson. You have Caden Gooley.
Interesting.
And then you have Jaden Struble, Arber Xhekaj, and a guy that not enough people are talking about, and Adam Engstrom, who has been basically the number 1 defenseman for the Laval Rocket when David Reinbacher isn't there, and when he is there, they played together, and that pairing's lights out. But he's a guy that's very interesting and who has been playing very well for a rookie in the American Hockey League. We've been talking a lot about Reinbacher, but Logan Mailloux is still around, and Logan Mailloux, ironically enough, obviously injured right now, unfortunately, but ironically enough, very offensively proficient at the NHL level. So definitely someone that I would not count out. Potentially someone that the Canadiens could look to use as trade fodder to, again, get that second line center. But I feel like Mike Matheson is a player that, given his contract at $4.8 million for another season, teams would be interested in. Teams have been interested in. And if the Canadiens have an appetite to move him, we've heard Kent Hughes mention his name in terms of we have decisions to make on the back end. Well, I would be very confused from an asset value perspective if the Canadiens were to keep Mike Matheson only to play him on a third pair.
Yeah.
Because when you look like when we look at the Canadiens right now, you would want someone with someone that's solid playing with Lane Hutson, right? But if Jaden Struble can play on the right side, that Hutson Struble combination works well, and then you have Gouli and Carrier as your shutdown second pair, and then Arbor Jackeye and whomever you would like to put as your third pair right shot D. And that could be David Reinbacher, because I don't think you're going to want to try and start David Reinbacher with Lane Hutson right away. And you could fill it out from there, or the Canadiens can still go out and sign depth defensemen. Nothing's stopping them from doing that to replace a guy like David Savard, should he call it a career, So I don't necessarily see a problem, but I think Mike Matheson is the one where, is he the one that you want to play on the top pair next to Lane Hutson next season? Is he going to are you going to swap him and Caden Gouli and play Gouli with Hutson and then Matheson with Carrier? That combination.
No, you nailed it. He's your third pair. Reinbacher.
It's not that
in a perfect world. Go ahead.
It's not that he's a third pair, but to me, it's like in basketball, it's like putting your point guard like out on the left or like outside of the key. It makes like you want him to attack the key. You don't want him to just wait there. Right. Yeah. So like,
yes.
At the end of the day, like it's like asking your center to be your point guard and your point guard to be your center. Like it just doesn't work. And so with Lane Hutson having effectively taken on all of his offensive responsibilities and to a degree, most of his minutes, it makes a guy like Mike Matheson expendable. And I'm not saying that to like run him out of town. Like I want to be absolutely clear on this.
No, we're solving a puzzle.
Exactly. You have to give to get, and he's got value. He's got value. He's got a great contract, and he's got no strings attached beyond that.
And he's a great veteran.
And I feel like teams. I feel like a team. Like I'll give you a direct example. I have no information on this. It's just an example.
Yeah.
You look at a team like the Seattle Kraken. What do they need the most right now? They need defense. They have Vince Dunn playing on their top, right?
Right.
After that, Jamie Alexiak. But ideally, if you could bump a guy like Alexiak down with an acquisition like Matheson, well, then your brigade just became that more dangerous, right? And I think that's kind of where you would be able to kind of play a little bit right now. Because, if you look at them, you have Vince Dunn, Adam Larson, Riker Evans, Brandon Montour, Jamie Alexiak, Josh Mahora. I feel like Mike Matheson could fit where Riker Evans is currently playing. Right. And then that would help Seattle because then their defensive, like Vince Dunn is going to take on top responsibility. Adam Larson is going to be able to handle a lot of the defensive side. Same thing with Jamie Alexiak. So you create a situation now where you have a second go-to guy on the offensive side playing with Montour. And what a defensive pairing that could be. And again, I have no information. It's an example
it just makes sense.
I
get it.
Of how if the Canadiens want to go to Seattle and try to extract a center from them, well, then that's a player that could make sense. This applies to anybody in the league. Every single team in the league is looking for two things: a top six center and a top four defenseman. So if you have one to offer, like forever and ever. So if you have one to offer, then teams are going to listen. So that's the thing with me. And seeing what the comments from journalists and fans alike, I think everyone's kind of in accordance right now. I think Lane Hutson has made a guy like Mike Matheson expendable, and I think the Canadiens management team has picked up on that as well. And so when it comes time to having these conversations this summer, I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Matheson were involved either directly or via indirectly in a trade for a top six center.
Great stuff as always. Follow Marco D'Amico at MN D'Amico. Check him out on RG. Don't forget, we'll link Marco's articles in the descriptions of the videos down below. Marco, a pleasure as always. Thank you, sir. And make sure to check out that comment section. It's lit AF, as the kids like to say. Thanks,
God,
brother.
No problem.
Yeah.